Hey friends!
Hey! Happy hour.
It's our happy hour. Every Friday we do a happy hour around 5. It is way later than 5. And
we're live, so the kids are going to be bothering us. Hey guys. They're starting to come around, at least. At least they're hollering my name, which was not what they would have out the gate.
Yeah. So typically we record a video and then we put it on. But this time we thought we might as well just go live and post it right away. And if you guys are joining us, thank you for joining us, and grab your drink. We are having kombucha today. Noah has never had one.
Nope,
and so
first time. I initially started with this.
Pineapple.
I thought it kind of tasted like urine. So when she came back, I drank out of that and I opened the next one. So.
Yeah. So this week has been exciting news for Noah. He has a job. Yay. So we are going to talk today about back to work post-prison and what that's like, and just kind of that experience. So we're going to kick it off with, so Noah's been now out of prison for 3 months. And so Noah, just tell us a little bit about from when you got out of prison until now and just the new things that you didn't realize that you learned. And what that experience was like, because initially when he was in prison, he thought he would get out of prison and be working like almost immediately, and that was not the case.
Yeah. So obviously I got out during COVID, so that really changes things up and threw a wrench into the whole plan. But on top of that, I didn't understand exactly what I can do and what I can't do. So my plan coming out of prison immediately was, okay, I already have a job. I'm going to work for Morgan at Construction to Style. I was going to do what Topher does. I'm going to be a project manager. And
we do construction, design, build. So,
So I'd be working in the office in Elk River. I would be helping her with Resilience to Reform, taking some of that off her plate. And I thought I had it all planned out. And that didn't turn out to be the case.
No. So yeah, right out the gates, he knew that we found out that he couldn't work for family. So we were like, okay, back to the drawing board. And then you also knew that, or you found out, you're like, okay, the BOP is still in charge of me. I can't.
Yeah. So.
Which was new. You didn't realize
Yeah. So I didn't, and I should have, but you hear these stories when you're in prison about other inmates that get out and this is what they did. And I'm like, okay, so you start to build this idea of what it's like getting out of prison.
Yeah.
And you just become oblivious to certain things. Like, I knew I was still going to be in the BOP custody, but for some reason I thought I was going to be out, and I was so excited about getting home and I was just going to have all this freedom. And then not only would have I not had a bunch of this freedom anyways, but COVID on top of that, and then George Floyd, and our restrictions are just compounded and multiplied.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucked. I shouldn't say sucked. It was disappointing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it forced me to take time I probably should have took anyways.
Yeah.
And I understand that not everybody has the opportunity to say, okay, I can take 2.5 months or 3 months and figure out what I want to do with these next 6 to 12 months, depending on however long your halfway house home confinement time is.
Yeah. When you mentioned too, you're like, in looking back in reality, it was kind of a blessing that you had just the time to get adjusted and acclimated with other things. Right?
Yeah, because I was just so, after 7 years of earning 12 cents an hour, 21 cents an hour, 28 cents an hour, I think is the most I ever made.
Which he talks about in a blog post.
So after 7 years of just making you're making $100 a month, you are killing it. You're doing awesome.
In prison, if you're
in prison. So I was just excited to get out and just not be asking my sister for money, not be asking my mom for help and money, and just being able to do some of these things on your own. And then I get home and, hey, Morgan, can you get this for me? Hey, Morgan, can you buy me a camera? Hey, Morgan, can you get me a phone? I asked for the phone part way too late because I had already gotten this job. And I'm like, I'm going to need a phone here in March. And she's like, well, you got a job, so you can save up for it.
Can wait for your first paycheck. So tell us about, so you kind of went through all that, those emotions, the first few months. Tell us about what your interview experience is like. So then you're like, all right, now I got to go out. I got to find a job. What that was like.
Yeah, so
And the new things that you learned that you, again, didn't know
Yep.
until you're in it.
Yep. So once I decided, or not once I decided, once they called me and said, hey, hurry the heck up and get a job, I didn't have the options of okay, tomorrow I'm going to start hitting the pavement. I'm going to start going in the area and getting applications. But it's 2020. I didn't have to. I didn't even have to leave the house. So I was told on Thursday, you need to have a job within 2 weeks. And by Friday, I'd already applied at 10 places.
Yeah. And this is all new too, because he's trying to find a job now post-prison during COVID, which is a new experience for everybody, including probably the BOP and all the people who have to approve different things. And so it's like on top of all the things that he's now learning, or you're learning.
Yep.
Then there's that dynamic that's put into it that everyone's kind of learning too.
Well, I'm learning to bring a mask every time I leave the house.
Right.
I forget a mask all the time. I got all the way to work on day 2, and I'm like, I didn't even bring my mask.
Yeah.
And luckily they had some there, but
So one of the places that we kind of lined up or were hoping that would happen after Construction of Style didn't work out was another place that it was a referral from Construction of Style. And so Noah was thinking he was going to get to work there, and then he even got it almost approved.
Well, I mean, I was a week away because I had been telling them, they're like, hey, what are you doing for a job? What are you doing for a job? I'm like, well, I have a job set up but they're not hiring until the end of July. Well, 2 weeks ago, we're getting up on the end of July, and she's like, my case manager calls me, and she's like, what's up with the job? I said, I'm still waiting on that same one. She goes, oh, what is it? I said, they do home maintenance. They go into their houses and they clean filters and air ducts and stuff like that. And and she's like, okay, but you need to start checking in with this lady every Monday about your job until you get one. I said, okay. And she's like, but call her as soon as we get off the call. Well, I call her, and she's like, okay, what job? What do you got going on? I said, well, I have a job lined up at the end of the month. And she goes, okay, what is it? I said, it's home maintenance. She goes, you can't do that. I said, what? I told my case manager, and she goes, well, I don't know. You might want to check with her again because you can't go to do any residential. I'm like, okay. So I call back. I'm like, hey, can I do residential work, like any work that goes to a residence? And my case manager's like, nope. And I'm like, shoot, that's what I'm waiting for. So
yet again, another obstacle that he didn't know.
Yeah. So,
and then we were talking to, like, Noah is in a very, what's
privileged?
the word? Privileged situation.
No point in avoiding it.
And
it's privileged.
With our family and everything like that, like, he came out, had a home, had things lined up. So we couldn't just help to think about at Resilience to Reform, like all these people that don't have that when they get out. They don't have a family. They don't have people that they can turn to. A lot of people, including some of our contributors on Resilience to Reform, go back to the only people they know and have, including family and friends, are people that are within the drug game. And so it's just interesting to kind of think about it.
What you're trying to, whatever your life goals are.
So
it's hard to go back.
It's made us wake up a little bit and think about all those different things and more things that we want to do at Resilience to Reform. So talk to us a little bit about, then you're doing the interviews, you're going to the places.
So the interviews are great. So then I started setting up these interviews, and anytime I leave the house, I have to call from the landline before I leave. And then wherever I'm going, I have to call from a landline when I get there. So all these interviews kick off with me calling from like, hey, can I use your phone? I need to call for this place from a landline. And they're like, okay, yeah, here's the phone. And then I'm just like, hello? yeah, hey, it's Noah Berglund. I'm at Target, or I'm at Northern Tool and Equipment. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll call you before I leave. Yep. Okay, bye. Okay, so I'm ready for the interview, and it was just like, it's not the best way to start an interview. It's not the best way to start an interview, so Beckham's thirsty.
And then let's see if he likes kombucha. Yeah,
probably not.
Mommy, take my water.
He likes it. Yep, that's your water. We're talking to our friends, though, so go play with Grandma. So Yeah, so that's interesting. And then I was laughing too because I'm like, I'm surprised a lot of these places still even have lifelines, but I guess you have to have them.
Not all of them do.
Yes. Okay, so the interview experience, then you're looking for a job.
We forgot the other part about the interview experience. So,
What?
so I decided when I started looking for a job, the first thing I decided, nothing's beneath me.
Oh, yeah.
So when I decided nothing's beneath me, that means I'm applying for part-time cashier. I'm applying for a cart pusher, janitor. I don't care. So I'm applying for whatever they have available, fast food. It doesn't matter. So this puts me in a situation where I'm coming in and I wasn't always selling drugs. During college, I was working for a prestigious painting company. I worked up from a painter to a job site manager, and I did the franchisee role and ran my own business. And then I did my own painting business after that on my own. And I worked for some pretty prestigious companies. So I'm coming in with not only a 4-year degree, but I'm also coming in with pretty good referrals and job experience.
Yeah.
And these people are like, why do you want to be a cart pusher at Target? And I'm like, well, because there's a catch to that resume, and that is I'm a felon.
But a lot of the ones online, didn't you have to put you're a felon? Or?
Yeah, not all of
Okay.
them, though.
Okay.
I was surprised.
Well, didn't you say one didn't have an option for something, so you wrote it in?
Yeah, one
something.
didn't have an
I
option.
don't know.
She's just asking for statistics. And she's asking for the most recent jobs. So my most recent jobs are what? Food service at Yankton
yeah.
FPC. So I put that, and I put Mr. Allen, my boss, who would say great things about me.
Yeah.
And I worked there for 5 years, but everything was just like dated and so I get to this section and I said, you haven't really had anywhere for me to put the good things about me, so I'm just going to write them here.
Yeah.
It was for like this cookie baking place.
Yeah.
And so I just started in this section of, I can't even remember what it was. I just started writing about, about my personality and about how caring I am and my aspirations and my work ethic. And so I just write them into a spot that it doesn't ask you about what your
so
attributes are.
And then you made a comment too. So when you were in prison, a lot of the guys said the hardest thing that you're gonna have trouble accumulating to is working 8-hour
working a
work
full
days.
day, whether it's even
Yeah.
8 hours. And I'm surprised, and maybe some of those guys were working construction or working something a little more physical, but so I'm just working in a hardware store, a tool shop, but not just, but I mean, it's not like I'm breaking my back,
Yeah,
but
you're not tired.
I'm constantly pushing stuff out. Yeah, it's not as exhausting. 8 hours isn't exhausting for me. I'm enjoying it. Step count, I have 21,656 steps in, and it's only six. I don't even know what time it is.
my
Doesn't
bedtime.
matter. It's past Morgan's bedtime, that's for sure. So yeah, so it's not as the 8 hour days isn't as daunting as they made it sound.
And one of the other things we had talked about is, so because you are privileged and it's not necessary, but like one of the things you got past was just the financial aspect, like that where he was searching for a job, he's like, again, nothing's below him and he'll take whatever he can get. But then we couldn't help but think about people who, like, when these guys get out,
relying on their income.
Yeah, when these guys get out, they're back to paying child support. They're back to repaying all their fines. They're back to paying whatever debts they
have to
owed.
put down a down payment on their rent. They
Yeah.
have to get first month's rent. They or damage deposit first month's rent. They need to get a vehicle. So I'm riding my bike everywhere, and I'm thinking maybe I won't even get a license until March. But then I'm like, well, winter's coming up. But people would have to get a car. Then you got to have insurance, and I'm not paying my own cell phone bill. So I'm in a better situation than most, and I understand that. But
just to shed some light on all the different scenarios.
I've heard other people when they got out, it was still get whatever job you can get right now, even if it's just a stepping stone to the next job.
For sure.
So if you got to shovel crap at a horse barn for 8 hours a day and then go do another job for 4 hours a day until you get a good job at UPS, who hires felons, and their
nice.
drivers
I didn't
pay
know
pretty
that.
well. Oh yeah, so a lot of
nice.
It's surprising how many people hire felons. Like Target asked me back for a second interview, and I told them I was a felon, and yeah. So a lot
go
of places.
support those businesses.
Yeah. Target, Chipotle, Northern Tool.
I love it. So the
Plenty of
last talking point, so you landed a job. Yay, 3 days in.
Woo! Haven't been fired yet.
Oh boy, we actually, the boys and I went and stopped to see him, and then we were watching him in the background. It was so cute.
I was selling chainsaws, or no, weed whippers.
Weed whippers.
Okay, I call them weed whackers, and everyone's like, hey, they're not weed whackers, man. They're trimmers, all right?
Oh,
they're trimmers. I'm like,
I didn't even know that
okay,
either.
so I keep calling them weed whackers,
I
and
call
they're
them
like,
weed whip.
yeah, weed whip. I call them weed whackers. And they're
Anyway,
like, yeah,
so you
no,
landed the
they're trimmers.
job. Is there any new unexpected emotions that have come about, or not really, or what?
Well, I mean, just in appreciation for it. This is the first real step of freedom that I felt.
Oh yeah.
So getting out for those 8 hours and the people are just super cool.
Because otherwise
They're
he could
super
only leave for
understanding.
1 hour to go for
Yeah,
a
I'd get
walk.
my 1 hour walk. So
Weed
What's up,
whackers,
buddy?
yeah.
so I'd only get out for my 1 hour walk. So now I'm out 8 hours and I'm getting my steps in at work and yeah, it's really nice. As far as, man, it's humbling
Yeah.
because this place has millions of parts.
Oh yeah.
And you get your little part identifier and you're trying to figure out its needle in the haystack constantly, where this tool is, where this ratchet
When I
set
was
is,
kinda
where this
asking-
individual ratchet is, and nothing, most times 50% of the time it's not in the aisle it says it's in. So
Yeah. Well, I was asking too, I'm like, is it a different experience? Because even though you worked in prison, like Noah worked in food service, it's still getting out and just working and acclimating again to like the different personalities and the different software technology. I was asking him if it was hard, but it's just another shift in mindset that you got to like jump back into. Wear normal jeans again.
Oh man, the jeans are nice, and I have the option of wearing shorts, but then I'm like,
Oh, you do?
do I
No.
have the option?
No, you don't.
Do I have the option of wearing shorts? Do you want me to show off the
No.
off the accessories?
I don't think so.
So
And pants look better anyway.
yeah.
So, yeah, that's our happy hour drink chat today.
Kombucha.
Just back to
brought to you
work.
by Synergy.
Yep. So if you guys have any questions, we'll put this in our feed. So ask any questions. Noah's more than likely gonna write a blog post about
Yep.
his experience getting back to work, and what that's been like. And this is just his experience. We know of other experiences, but we don't want to share other people's stories.
But
yeah.
they might be sharing them themselves.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, let us know. And also, I've been MIA for 2 weeks because I was drowning at C2S. So we had some guest happy hour people with Noah, which was
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah, it was great. So we had my brother Jesse, which was fun, and then my cousin Kirsten came over last week, and we workshopped, and
So if you missed those, just go
Yeah.
back in the feed, check
Yep.
them out.
they were fun.
And we'll be back next Friday. So we hope you guys all have a great weekend.
Oh,
And there's a meltdown
yeah,
happening.
meltdown's about to
So
happen.
cheers.
So.
Happy weekend.
All right, happy weekend. Have a good one.
Baby. Baby.